Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along then to the penultimate round of the 2013 GPVWC Supercup season. We are here at the legendary circuit of Suzuka, where the Formula One will be this weekend as well. And what a championship we have on our hands. Last time out, CSG secured the Teams Championship, but here today, the Drivers' Championship contested between Italy's Giuseppe Ranieri and England's Oscar Hardwick is separated by only 2 points after an Abu Dhabi round, which, following the race, was filled with so many time penalties, I couldn't count them all. It was crazy, Lewis McGlade, and it meant that we had actually, for the first time in 7 rounds, a brand new winner in Agustin Canapino, the Argentine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a shame that we couldn't have a broadcast for that one, but basically the way it was that we worked out that Canapino kind of dropped it into a wall at one point in it, but the damage wasn't too bad. He kept going, and even with a slight amount of damage, I noticed that he was pulling to one side going down the straights. He was still lapping faster than Giuseppe. He had incredible pace back then, and if he hadn't have done that, he should have won the race anyway. But as the checker flag flew, Giuseppe took the win. However, in penalties afterwards, that was all changed about. Augustin has the win now, and the points in the championship is now 2. So there's 2 between Oscar and Giuseppe. So, you know, things are looking pretty good for this championship. And I'm going on the side that it will be alive going into Brazil. Who will be champion? We don't know, but we do have a round to go through first, where pretty much anything can happen. It's a tricky track here in Japan, where taking one curb slightly too much will put you out of the race, and when they've got to do it 34 times around every single corner, it's going to be a tricky race for some of the drivers.
Indeed, and it was a tricky qualifying session for most of the drivers as well. I counted at least 5 bidding it into the wall at some time during the 15-minute session, but through it all, it was Canapino taking his maiden pole position here in the Super Cup with a very impressive lap, 3/10 faster than Giuseppe Ranieri, but Ranieri actually has a grid penalty as well as a time penalty from last time out. Himself and Sven de Vries, the American proper replacement for Ryan Walker, reversed on track during qualifying, and so they start 5 places back. Patrick Gatewood, after avoidable contact with another driver during the race, also have a 5-place grid penalty, as does Roy Schroten and John McLean, both who cut the pit lane exit white line. So 5 penalties to filter in there, but we do have the finalised top 10 for you, so it's going to be Canapino leading off from Sukas. Miko Sukas had a very, very good qualifying, actually, really impressive from the Finn, and if he does stay in Super Cup, looking like a really good championship contender there. Oscar Hardwick will slot in 3rd, ahead of Kenny Libert, another impressive qualifying. Pavel Loknovsky, who has switched from Innovision to FA Racing for this round, will start P5 ahead of Mike Bell, who had a very, very good qualifying, actually. I know he started P8 in Abu Dhabi, but the Englishman's really been rising to the top, and his alternative strategies mean that he will be aiming for a 1-stop here again at Suzuka, whereas everybody else is looking for a 2-stop. Ranieri will then start P7 ahead of Tom Parker, who is with Innovision for this round. Menno Klont, who has just gone into the top 5 in the drivers, will start P9, and he will be ahead of Morten Wernersen for Vodbull, who starts P10. And actually, looking at Vodbull, not a very good run of luck, actually, for the team, who are very much stuck in the midfield now on 176 points. They've kind of fallen away from this battle in the Constructors, which is primarily now for 4th, 5th, and 6th, which are between Motorforce, Targ, and Satellite, and so we do hope that they have a better round. Dan Russo's back for the first time in a few weeks. Not looking too good, though, and Mikko Jakinen, who was with them last round, has now moved to Street Fighter to partner Mark Wick. So a lot of drivers changing around here, actually, at Suzuka, and yeah, I'm not sure whether that's going to unsettle the field somewhat, Lewis, because, you know, this being the penultimate round, people are starting to get on edge, you know, here, and nobody really knows how this battle between Ranieri and Hardwick will end up, because we've seen Ranieri have a couple of good starts, but then at majority races we've seen him have these terrible, terrible starts. And if he's all the way back in 7th at the start of the race, he's going to have a very tough job in his hands to try and work his way through the rest of the field over the 34 laps we have here.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously didn't take pole, so he had to drop back. I think he was 2nd in qualifying, so he had to drop back 5 positions from there. So he's down quite a long way, and he's behind some people which they know how to defend. He's behind Oscar, obviously, and Oscar knows how to place his car on track in a manner that would keep the car behind. So he's got a tough fight on him if he wants to get past Oscar. But we all know that Giuseppe's got some incredible pace, and strategy sometimes seems to work out for him. So I think strategy is going to be quite interesting here, considering you've got a lot of people that are going to be two-stopping. It's how that two-stop's going to work. I was talking to quite a few other drivers before, where they're thinking like a two-stop is the most logical. Obviously, we have our one-stop guy, which is Mike Bell, going for the one-stop once again. So I think we've got an interesting race in store, and hopefully a decent penultimate round that will take us into Brazil with a championship that we're fighting for, and that we don't know where it's going to go to until that checker flag falls.
Yeah, it must be said that Hardwick can lose a championship if Ranieri wins this race, or in fact if Hardwick just DNFs full stop, and I think it's if Ranieri gets, it would be pretty much a race win, I think.
It would have to be a race win, and Oscar has to be below 14th.
Oh yeah, so 14th or below. Then Ranieri will win the title.
Yeah.
So Oscar's got to be careful. You can't really throw away the chances here.
I'm just going to say to this is that I don't think Giuseppe's going to win it today. And so I think that no matter what Oscar does, the championship will still be in contention heading to Brazil. Now, that's not saying that that means that he can just chuck it into a wall, because he obviously has to keep the car on track and keep it all he's got to keep it on track to score as many points so the championship is as close as it can possibly be going into Brazil, because that's going to cost him. But we're about to head off to the formation lap, and in a race where we really don't know what's about to happen. But I'm gonna predict a Canapino win.
Points mean prizes, and many will view it as here where Fernando Alonso lost the 2012 Formula One championship after retiring. I mean, there's plenty of other factors which contributed to that, but Oscar Hardwick must surely be looking to him for inspiration now to try and keep his title hopes alive. We are off on our formation lap now, and it is indeed Agustin Canapino, the Argentine, for Target Racing. Got Target's first win since Villa Parla all the way back at the Hungarian Supercup race. Can he make it 2 in a row? Chances are looking very good for him. Miko Tsukas, the Finn, is in P2 for Inhibition ahead of Oscar Hardwick, recently deposed championship leader in P3 for CSG. Kenny Libert heads up an FA Racing 4-5 with Pavel Loknovsky behind him. Mike Bell, best qualifying of the year, starts P6 for Target Racing ahead of Giuseppe Ranieri, our new championship leader, all the way back there in P7 after his good penalty. Tom Parker for Inhibition starts P8 ahead of Menno Klont in P9, and Morten Wernersen for Vodbull will round out the top 10. We then have Mikael Tumala for the Resurgent Centurion Racing starting P11 ahead of Sven de Vries after his grid penalty, starting in P12. Mark Wicks will start in P13, his best qualifying in quite a while, ahead of Centurion's Tommy Koivunen. And Wicks' teammate for this round, Mikko Jäkkinen, will start P15 for Street Fighter. Brandon Warren starts P16 for Satellite Racing ahead of the returning Janne Vananen for Scuderia Basilia. He was originally Scuderia Basilia's lead driver before he had to leave for personal reasons. He's back now, replacing Martin Bolgin ahead of the 2010 Supercup champion Christoph Lichtenstein for PB. Andreas Waters will start P19 for Fox Racing ahead of Dan Rusu returning for Vodbull there in P20. Patrick Gatewood will start P21 for Multisports after his own grid penalty, with John McLean there in P22 with a grid penalty of his own, as does Roy Schroten, who, after quite a nice round last time out in Abu Dhabi, will be unfortunately starting from the back of the grid after crashing out in qualifying and electing to have free setup choice.
Well, I mean, you say it was a good Abu Dhabi. They did win the constructors. So,
yes,
it was a pretty very good Abu Dhabi. But yeah, we noticed that he binned it in qualifying, lost his wheel, and so couldn't really go out and do any more laps. And so he's got to basically do the 34 here from the back. It's going to be a bit tough, but strategy prevailing, and on a track as tough as this, I'm expecting quite a high attrition rate around here. So looking at it, how we had these times where we had only 15 finishes and everyone finished in the points. I think this is going to be one of those days.
What's to say say that the back of the grid isn't, or what's to say that the back of the grid is the worst place to start? Who knows?
Exactly.
It could be Roy Schroeten's saviour here as he burns up his tyres, lines up on the grid alongside John McLean, who scored his first points in quite a long time here in the Super Cup. The tyres are going to be cold at the front of the grid now for Augustin Canapino and Mikko Sukas as we await the 5 lights here at Suzuka. We got 2, 3, 4 and 5 lights, and here at the Japanese Super Cup round we are racing. It's a decent start. Look, Oscar Hardwick straight through the middle of Augusto Canapino and Mikko Sukas. Kenny Libert with a good start as well as we come hurtling down into the dynamic turn 1. Kenny Libert straight up into second. Look at Giuseppe Ranieri there as well. Slots in between Augustin Canapino, who's had an awful start. Up into 4th already. Mikko Sukas down to 3rd. Oscar Hardwick a blinder once again. Up into P1. Lachnovsky up into P6. To Mahler up into P7 with a good start. Bell down to 8th. Klont 9th and Sven de Vries up into the top 10 as we head through the section. Up into a very difficult section now where the curbs are your worst enemy here. You see lots of people go off during the qualifying session here, but Oscar Hardwick with a 6/10 gap over Kenny Libert leaves Mikko Sukas, Ranieri and Canapino with an awful start down to P5 already.
Yeah, well, Oscar said he was going to have a start that we need to look out for, and that was absolutely it. What a fantastic start. Giuseppe there, I said he'd been practicing his starts, and that is exactly why. His start looked very good in practice, and now he's up into 4th position. He passed quite a few people. I see Mark Bell dropping through the field. But yeah, Giuseppe's start, that was what he needed to, but you know, Oscar's leading at the moment, and that's what he needs to be focusing on. He needs to be focusing on getting up that far. Augustin Canapino, though, from pole position down into 5th place now as they head down towards 130R.
What a dynamic corner this is. You can remember Bruno Senna making a move on Roman Grosjean around the outside this corner. I wonder whether any of these drivers here today will be ballsy enough to try that as we head into the famous chicane where, of course, Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna had that dynamic crash, which meant that Alain Prost would, well, he was pretty angry at the end of it, wasn't he? And then we're heading down to turn 1 once again on lap 2, where, of course, the two of them had another crash. Here goes Mikko Sukas on the inside of Kenny Libert, pulls out, thinks better of it. And we're into turn 2 now. Lots of worries here in the 2012 race where Romain Grosjean, of course, caused a crash with Mark Webber, but no problems here for the top 4. See, Augustin Canapino actually falling away from the back of everyone, really, but you've got to look at Ranieri. Look how much he closes up to the back of Sukas through this section. I noticed he lost a bit of speed through the final sector. I do wonder whether Ranieri's running higher wings than the fin in front of him. All this is playing nicely into Oscar Hardwick's hand. He still only leads by 6/10 of a second from Kenny Libert, who's done well so far to keep up with the Englishman. But the Belgians really got to look in his rearview mirrors now, because Mikko Sukas and Ranieri have been looking decidedly quicker as Ranieri locks up there. But they've been looking decidedly quicker, and look at Mikko Sukas there, a much better exit out of the left-hand hairpin, heading down into the run to Spoon. Look how much of a better slipstream Sukas has there. He's going to try to take around the outside of Spoon. What a move from Mikko Sukas. Excellent driving. But look at Kenny Libert, tried to go the inside there. That's going to wrong foot him in. Here comes Giuseppe Ranieri now, coming down onto the back straight. Don't want to go to that pit lane. That's the wrong way. But Giuseppe Ranieri alongside Kenny Libert now. And wow, surprisingly, not past him as we head into 130R. Libert clearly has the straight line speed on the Italian here. He moves to the outside, Ranieri to the inside. No, there's contact between the two. That was clumsy. Ranieri has to really lay him back past.
Wow, he's not going to.
Or does he? He's not going to.
That was incredibly clumsy from Ranieri, and that should not happen, especially from someone who's been consistently leading races like he has. That should really not have happened.
No, and that's rude.
Very.
To be quite frank, that was pretty much a mimicking of the Senna-Prost incident we were going on about earlier. Not only has it meant that Ranieri's got past Libert, but Canapino has been able to capitalise on that as well. So Canapino up into P4. Kenny Libert cruelly knocks down to P5. I see our first retirement of the day is Morten Wernersen. So, oh gosh, we've had more than that, haven't we? We've got Morten Wernersen out, Tommy Koivunen out, and Christoph Lichtenstein out as well. But Vodball's championship goes from bad to worse. A real shame there, but credit to Kenny Libert, actually. He's able to keep onto the back of these race winners here who've usually been able to just fly off with it. Really impressive stuff from the Belgian, actually, and a very mature head on him not to try and make any serious stabs back through on the people who've robbed him of a couple of positions here.
Yeah, so like I say, looking on top form to be going for that win today. provided Giuseppe Ranieri and Augustin Canapino has nothing to do with it. I'm having a little bit of a timing glitch at the moment because apparently Roy Schroeton is leading, although...
oh, really?
Oh, no, well...
I think that's a disconnection. That's a disconnection.
It's there we go. It's sorted out now. Because it was like he was in the skybox, so I think it was below the track or something like that. It was very broken. Nevertheless, back to where we really are is with Oscar Hardwick leading. We've had another DNF, which was Roy Schroeton.
Yeah, that is Roy
It's
Schroeton.
just appeared now. So Oscar Hardwick leads by 0.7 of a second as they're going to cross the line. Is that going to change? It is indeed. It's half a second now. It's half a second.
Nico Suzuka, as Lewis rightly says, looking on top form here is the Finn. And was faster than Oscar in qualifying. Remember, he started P2 here ahead of the Englishman. And on lap 4 of 34 here, is starting to make very serious inroads into the Englishman's lead behind him. The battle between the two fastest men of the field, arguably, Ranieri and Canapino, rages on with Liebert starting to fall back off the two of them now. Pavel Oknovsky is a solid 6 still, with Mikael Tumala and Sven de Vries going at it for 7th and 8th. Mark Wicks, very quiet race so far, actually starting P13. He's up into P9, and his teammate Mikko Jakinen having a much better outing here, up into P10 ahead of Tom Parker and Christoph Lichtenstein, who I thought was out. I think that's a ghost Christoph Lichtenstein. It must be,
because he's driving well.
Yeah, he's still there in the points as well. And just to note as well, Andreas Waters has just retired as well. So you're talking about a race being rather high on attrition here. We've got 4 out already.
Yep, I've just seen Vananen is off the track down at the second Degner, the tricky second Degner that we've always talked about. If you mess up that first Degner, you're going to go sideways and it's going to spin round, and you're lucky to keep it out of the wall. And as indeed he was, is in 19th position at present, but battle for the lead, 0.2 of a second apart. Mikko Suzuka, clearly the faster of the two, and Giuseppe Ranieri, though, not particularly closing in too much on the back of Suzuka. Suzuka looking extremely good at this present moment in time, heading down towards turn 1.
Ranieri's got Canapino to look out for. He just had to chop him off at the chicane section, heading into turn 1 once again with Suzuka and Hardwick. This is a great battle for the lead, isn't it? Hardwick doing his best to hold on. We keep on hearing him saying, I'm not going to do well, I'm not going to do well. And then he does seem to pull something out of the bag, doesn't he? And doing well here so far, able to hold off the advances of Mikko Suzuka, who's had a good few podiums here since his debut in the Supercup. But what would really top off this season, I think, is a win to show, look, I am one of the best drivers going into next year. Hire me. Whether he's attracted the attention of many Super teams as well is debatable. I know a certain couple have already asked him whether he's interested, but we'll have to wait until next year, I think, before we see any serious moves. Here we go. Oscar Hardwick had a little bit of a dodgy left-hand hairpin section there, and he's just about being able to hold on to it. But can Mikko Suzuka use Spoon once again as an overtaking opportunity? He's on the inside of Oscar Hardwick. He's going to go down the inside of Spoon, and he takes the lead. Mikko Suzuka to Finn in the lead of this race now. Oscar Hardwick tries to find a way through on the exit, but there's not much he can do. Mikko Suzuka to Finn leads this race now.
Oscar's got a high downforce car, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle for him to get a move done here, but I think he's going to try it going down into the Casio Triangle. He did have a really poor run off of turn 11. He took too much curb on the inside. He jumps to the inside of the Casio Triangle. Not enough, though. Not enough.
And you've got to wonder whether Oscar Hardwick
is going to run away now.
It's debatable, isn't it? Hardwick was visibly holding him off as opposed to using it, but here he goes. He's got slipstream now, but nothing doing into turn 1 once again. Very much at arm's length, like Suzuka was last lap round in this. Whether Hardwick can match Suzuka over the next lap or so, which will really determine whether he is just holding off Suzuka or whether he can hold good pace with him behind him. Ranieri still able to hold off Augustin Canapino, who's keeping a watching brief of the Italian, who actually, as I say that, is now really looking a lot more threatening onto the back of his championship rival, Oscar Hardwick here. And this is going to be a battle which is going to... And I wonder whether we might see Oscar Hardwick getting angry elbows out as well. I see Ranieri actually made a mistake there. And going up into the left-hander now, you can see Canapino is closed visibly. So, a lock-up from Ranieri. Can Canapino capitalise? No, he can't. So, Ranieri, this is the same Ranieri we saw last week at 2 weeks ago at Abu Dhabi, isn't he? He's kind of you can definitely see he's got the pace there, but he's under pressure, isn't he? You can see he's making mistakes all over the place.
Oh, wow, Miko Suekas had to slow on the apex of the second part of Spoon, and has cost Oscar a little bit of time. That could have been a run from Oscar. However, heading down to 130R, Oscar's looking like the faster car.
Certainly is. He's going to move to the inside. And is it? Oh my word.
Hold your breath.
Oh, and look, Oscar Canapino off there in the background. He went very wide. Miko Suzuka, so he's still trying to hold up. But look, Oscar Hardwick is going to muscle his way through. They're still side by side coming out of the chicane. What active racing. What a tag slapper from Oscar Hardwick. That was there as well.
Good catch.
My word, that was a good catch. And Oscar Hardwick, try as he might, cannot make it past the Finn and Miko Suzuka. And this has allowed Giuseppe Ranieri now to really catch up onto the back of the Englishman heading into turn 2 now. This is a great battle for the lead. Augustin Canapino not losing sight of these top 3 as well. The top 4 currently separated by 2 seconds. What an epic battle this is here on lap 7 of 34.
Thing is, with this track, is that unlike the track we were at last time out, overtaking here pretty damn tricky. There's very, very few places that you can overtake, whereas at Abu Dhabi there was actually quite a lot of places that you could theoretically take a move through. You know, this section that they're going through now, the leaders through the Degners, it's possible to do a move through there, but there are so many variables that have to be absolutely ticked. So Oscar Hardwick has got his work cut out for him to get past Sukas at the moment. So we'll have to keep an eye on this and see how Ranieri plays into this fight. Top 10 as we speak is Sukas, Hardwick, Ranieri, Canapino, and Liebert is at the top 5. And then Loknovsky, Sven de Vries, Michael Chumala for Centurion up into 8th position. Great job from him. Mark Wicks and Tom Parker. And Tom Parker is also, by the way, he is on the yellow walled tyres. So he started on those. He did the qualifying on those, and he's now into the top 10. Excellent job from Tom Parker.
Look at this battle. The first position, 4 different drivers, 4 different driving styles, and 4 different teams to boot as well. Heading through 130R, it's Oscar Hardwick who's going to look on the inside of Miko Sukas. This looks like a move. He's diving in.
Too deep.
But he's gone slightly wide. Can he hold on to it? No. Miko Sukas on the outside. Look at Ranieri now coming onto the back of Oscar Hardwick. He's going to have a wonderful slipstream. Oscar Hardwick going ultra defensive here into turn 1. Ranieri though is going to go to the outside. Canapino there in the distance as well. Can Ranieri do around the outside? He's passed Oscar Hardwick into turn 1. And this could be crucial for the championship. Oscar Hardwick needs to do something quick if he's going to be able to. Oh, and that's a tank slapper. Can Canapino capitalize? No, he can't. Oscar Hardwick under visible pressure here to try and hold to the leader. No, in goes Canapino. What a move from him. That was opportunistic. And Oscar Hardwick, in the case of 5 corners, has lost 2 places.
Yeah, that's not looking fun to drive at the moment. Not that I'm saying his tyres are going off or anything, but that car is not looking like it's too pretty at the moment. Heading through the Degner section, he just he went too deep on that move. That is what cost him 2 places. Is he went too deep on that move on Sukas. But speaking of going deep, Giuseppe Ranieri went a bit deep at the 10-11 hairpin. But yeah, he went too deep at the Casio Triangle, and that's going to cost him time, and it did cost him 2 places. So not the best couple of corners there for Oscar Hardwick.
All it takes is a mistake, and you will lose that race lead. We saw it in Abu Dhabi, and although Ranieri didn't win, the reason why he provisionally won that race was because Oscar Hardwick and Augustin Canapino made mistakes themselves. But fair play to Miko Sukas, who's just been getting on with the job at hand. Heading into 130R now, he's got a sizable gap over Ranieri, but I can imagine that's going to cut its way down very shortly. And we'll just have to see what the timing is as we cross the start-finish line, which is coming up ever closer. We're going to be starting lap 9 here. And the gap between Ranieri and Sukas is 9/10 of a second. A further 4/10 back is Canapino. A further 6 or 7/10 back is Hardwick. So the lead battle really starting to spread out now, though. Look at Augustin Canapino.
It's still pretty close.
Yeah, I reckon he's going to, as I say, he's the one man who's sort of thrown a spanner in the works, because he can really humble Ranieri doing these races. And Ranieri, in any other situation, would be able to really focus on just trying to catch up to Sukas now. But instead of focusing on catching up to Sukas, he's got to keep his eyes on his mirrors, because you've got this Argentine charging behind you who could be looking through. And just look at the move that he made on Oscar Hardwick just last lap. Really opportunistic, and it shows that he's willing to put his nose in to try and take that move. And Ranieri locking up again. Look at Canapino. He's ready to take that position whenever Ranieri makes a mistake, and he's really got to watch out for that, otherwise he'll be losing valuable points here.
Yep. Speaking of Canapino, his teammate down in 15th position just moved back up into 15th after not having the best start from the top 10. So he was in 16th position, made a move on John McLean into the first corner, and that's Mike Bell who's going for the one-stop strategy, and he's going to try and catch up on some of the cars in front, considering he's on the option tyres. Just not a very good start there for Mike Bell. Over back to the front battle, we've got Canapino. Canapino's never looking like he's close enough to Giuseppe to make a proper move, so I think this one may take a few laps to boil down. Oscar Hardwick, though, not dropping off the back of this. I think this is the closest we've had the top 4 in a very, very long while. And the leader of that is Miko Sukas, who's never won a race. I don't think he's won a race.
He has not. He's had podiums.
Yes, he's not had a win in Supercup yet because of one very dominating Italian.
It must be said, actually, we must apologise to all the viewers who are wanting to look at action further down the field. We would, but the fact of the matter is that we haven't had this good battling up at the front in a very, very long time. We saw it at Abu Dhabi, and then it sort of stopped after a bit because, of course, we had Oscar Hardwick spinning out, and we had Augustin Canapino himself spinning out as well. So, good to see all 4 cars here still within 2 seconds of each other. Don't discount Kenny Libert as well, actually, who's still within 6 seconds of this slot, doing an incredible job after being knocked off the road by Giuseppe Ranieri. Sven de Vries is now up into P6. Mikael Tumala up into P7 ahead of Loknowski, who's lost a couple of places, but he's looking like he can really get Tumala in the next couple of corners, actually, does the Estonian. Mark Wicks is still there in P9, and Tom Parker still rounds out in the top 10, as Lewis has alluded to, on those prime tyres, so we'll be able to run longer. And I see Menno Klotner diving off into the distance there, my word, he was lucky to keep that on the track.
I'm expecting a pit stop from some of these top lot anytime soon. There's past Mikael Tumala for 7th position. But yeah, I'm expecting a pit stop sometime soon. These tyres not looking like they're going to last too long. And speaking of Kenny Libert, when it comes to tyre degradation, looking back at USA, he had to do 3 stints in the options.
Talking of tyre degradation, look who's in.
Yep.
All 3 leaders are in. Oscar Hardwick goes round again.
Good guess, wasn't
it? Yeah, so here we go. The top 3 are all into the pits. Miko Sukas, Augustin Canapino, and Giuseppe Ranieri.
Options. Miko Sukas on...
Oh, Kenny Libert as well.
Yep. Okay, right. So basically, it's Sukas on options. We've got Canapino on options. Ranieri on primes.
Canapino's ahead of Ranieri as well, so good job from the target, boys. They've gotten their Argentine ahead of Giuseppe, and he'll be mad with that. Sven de Vries, by the way, he's not stopped either, so he has moved up into P2, though a sizable gap behind Oscar Hardwick, which I'm sure will calm a lot of people who remember the past between these two. But yeah, Miko Sukas, very good stop, clearly ahead of Canapino now. Yeah. And it just seems that Ranieri had an awful, awful stop.
Also, Pavel Loknowski pitted, Mikael Tumala pitted, Mark Wicks pitted. We're at the pit stop stage here, and it's interesting to see at the moment how many people are divided on their strategy as to whether they're going on to options or primes. Giuseppe Ranieri is the one of the top 5 at the moment on the prime tyre, on the yellow wall tyre. So he's looking like he's going for the a very different strategy. And that will also explain why Canapino got out in front, because Ranieri had to put in a bit more fuel, and that would explain why Canapino is in front of Giuseppe Ranieri.
Shout out to Tom Parker as well on the alternate strategy already, up into P6. So
yeah, obviously started on those yellow wall tyres. So
let's have a look.
Well, I'm just wondering what he's going to do strategy-wise, whether he's going to push to one-stop it or whether he is going to two-stop it, maybe with a double stint of options towards the end of the race. But we'll just have to patiently wait and see how it's going to play out for Parker.
Right, our 2 new leaders, Oscar Hardwick and Sven de Vries, are in themselves 1 lap after the first 3, and it's here where we're going to see whether it was a good choice to make the stop.
Oscar Hardwick comes out in front of Sven, but Oscar is on the yellow wall tyre, so Oscar's following the same strategy as Giuseppe, so that's interesting. Sven de Vries, though, heads on to the options.
So Miko Sukas with a sizable lead now, ahead of Augustin Canapino. Ranieri,
look at Oscar Hardwick and Tom Parker.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing, Parker's on the more burnt up tyres now, so Hardwick after this lap, as long as he's able to stay ahead of Parker, that is.
I think the important thing from that is to see how much Oscar's dropped off the back of Giuseppe. Yeah. Considering that gap was about maybe a second and a half when they entered the pits, and now that's going to be a sizable 3 seconds, something like that? 2-3 seconds?
Very true. Very true. We'll have to see how this all plays out, really, because if Hardwick's got better tyre wear than Ranieri, then he'll have a better last stint, one would think. But
I think Christoph Lichtenstein's made a mistake down at the back in 17th because he's just dropped a place to Brandon Warren. I will check. I think that was down to the Casio triangle. I'm just going to have a quick look. Yeah, he just went too deep in the brakes and lost the place.
Let's see, is there anybody who's yet to pit apart from Parker?
Bell.
I think
of course.
Clont?
Clont, I don't think's pitted. No, Clont actually. Oh no, that's Kenny. Sorry, my bad. Clont has not pitted.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, other than that, you got Mike Bell who hasn't pitted. Oh, I'm sure there's another one.
Clont there actually on Clont
from Kenny. Yeah.
Ooh, that was easy for
Kenny
of course it was.
Yeah, with the tyres.
Pressure tyres, of course. Is Liebherr on the option?
Sorry, yes, Liebherr is on the option, so he's got option. And also, Oscar Harbour made a mistake at turn 1 when the top 3 pitted. That is why he dropped off so much. Just got that message through. So, yeah, that's what happened to Oscar.
Also on Christoph Lichtenstein, he is now retired from the race, so we're up to 5 retirements already on lap 13 of 34 here. Your race leader is Miko Sukas, leading by... and that's a crash. I think that's the debris of Christoph Lichtenstein there that Sukas and Canapino have just got through. But yeah, Sukas leads by 1.5 seconds to the Argentine. Augustin Canapino himself is about 2 seconds ahead of Giuseppe Ranieri. Oscar Hardwick's there in 4th, just ahead of Tom Parker on the alternate strategy. Haley Bears in 6th with Sendery 7th. Mikhail Tumala on 8th with Pavel Loknowski 9th. And Mike Bell, who is planning for a 1-stop this race, rounds out your top 10. So looking good for points again is Mike Bell. But considering how good his starting place was, I do wonder whether he feels this is what he should be getting out of this race. Your other point scorers at the moment are Menno Klods in 11th, Mikko Jakkonen in 12th, Patrick Gaywood in 13th, John McLean in 19th, and Brandon Warren scoring the last point there for Satellite Racing in P15.
I understand that Mike would be pacing himself because obviously you don't want to degrade these tyres. But it's just like I think the pace is a little bit too slow, and I mean with the way that people are going to start DNFing and things like that. I mean we've got 17 runners, 18 runners now, and you know we've only done 12 laps. We've only finished 12 laps, so you know I think to be honest, anyone who's going to finish this race really would be in points contention, but. Especially considering he qualified 8th, there's something not quite right with that race pace. I mean,
he started 6th.
Was it 6th? Yeah, it was 6th, wasn't it? Of course,
he qualified 8th
and then jumped up 2 positions. So, you know, the pace would be a bit weird with that. Also, whilst we've been talking, Tom Parker has been into the pits for a second stint on the primes.
Let's see where he comes out now. Yellow, red will be Parks.
Yep.
Remember, if you're new with us, follow Formula 1 in that we use 2 different tyre compounds during this race. We've got the red softer compound and the yellow harder compound. Tom Parker thinking yellow, red is the way to go, so presumably a very short last stint. 13 laps on the yellows should mean he gets up to lap 26, which should mean he has 8 laps.
Yep, that's about right. I think quite a lot of people might be following that strategy. I think some of the people who are going option, maybe pushing the primes a little bit too hard in the later part of the race, but with obviously fuel loads and things like that changing. Well, actually no, because it doesn't matter because we pit stop for fuel. Sorry, ignore me. I think they're going to be pushing their primes a little bit too far. You look at Oscar, he's getting his prime stint now. I'm wondering what Oscar's going to do. Is he going to go prime, or is he going to prime option? I think prime could be a really good strategy call, but. Only time will tell. But I think the people going option prime might just push it a bit too much. Or anyone who's doing 2 stints of option. Mike.
Here's a bit of, alliteration for you. Prime for P9 Parker.
Prime for P9 Parker.
Yeah. Who's now actually, I've just noticed, ahead of Menno Klont, who's just overtaken Mike Bell into Spoon. So Mike Bell's tyres clearly starting to degrade here. And on lap 15 to 34,
I was thinking of this. I think he's going to be pitting roughly now. I was speaking to him quite a bit before the race, but I'm surprised he's staying out. I'm surprised he's staying out this long because we were discussing it, and I noticed that his tyres were dropping off quite late in the stint, or for him anyway. You know, it looked like he was dropping off around about lap 14, which is where we are. Klombo's gone a bit too deep, and Pavel Loknovsky is out of the race.
Oh.
Yes, sir, I'll steal your thunder there, mate.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, it's alright, he's forever alone.
He is indeed forever alone for FA Racing, who are now down to a forever alone one driver in Kenny Libert, who's still running strong in P5, is the Belgian. Only 3 seconds off Oscar Hardwick still, so the Belgian doing a really, really nice job. And has been doing a nice job since his debut, actually, so fair play. But that means we've got 17 runners and riders left. 2 more retirements, and we do have everyone scoring points as long as they reach 75% of the race, and I will quickly do that. But I'm just looking at Mike Bell, where he is now. Pit stops, 25 seconds. He's going to be looking at the lower ends of the points, say 13th, 14th, 15th, I'd say.
I'd agree.
And of course, other people have to pit as well. So maybe not a top 10 for Mike Bell this time around, but you never know. We could have more retirements than getting us down to 15 runners and riders.
I think what we've got to remember though with Mike is that, you know, he's an FC driver. He's not been driving these cars for very long, and from what I've experienced when driving these cars, they're tricky. You need a lot of practice in them. You need to know how to drive them properly and how to work it out and things like that. It's quite a complicated thing to do. I mean, some people can jump into it like Augustin Canapino and just fly off into the sunset, but you know, when you've got in GPVWC what are basically kind of like rookie drivers, it's gonna take a long time to practice in these cars and get used to it and flying around the track at these speeds, especially on a track that's as tricky as this. So, you know, I think it's going to take some time, but if he can one stop and then get up to the speed of other people, like, well, if he can get up to the speed of Giuseppe Ranieri, then well, bye. But like, just, you know, getting up to a decent pace with where it would make him like competitive with drivers like Oscar Hardwick and things like that, with the ability to one stop, that would be so crucial on giving things like top tens, consistent top tens, podiums and stuff like that. So it's the pace that's missing there at the moment.
Lap 26, by the way, is a lap which people have to get up to in order to classify themselves. So that means exactly 10 more laps for the majority of this field. For the front of the field, though, Nico Suzuka is about to start lap 17 of 34, the halfway mark. And although I did see the gap between himself and Augustin Canapino lowering lap after lap, he's actually kept it quite nicely around the 1.1 to 1.4 mark. So it's not exactly like the Argentine is making a massive attack on Suzuka. And I do wonder whether he's just saving tyres a bit, because we saw him do this with Ranieri, almost forcing him into mistakes. Talking of Ranieri, he is now 4.8 seconds off the lead. Oscar Hardwick, though, dramatically fallen back to almost 10 seconds off the lead, and I would say falling into the gap of falling into the clutches of Kenny Libert.
I'm still wondering about Kenny's tyre wear. I mean, we did see that he was going to try a 3-stop back, but then he did pit at the same time as other people, so it might not be that bad. But you know, I think keep an eye on his tyre wear, really. But I know things not looking good for Oscar's. Dropping off of the lead, or even really the podium. But in the consideration that we have to get up to, what did you say, it was lap 26. We've had 7 DNFs in 15 laps. 2 more in 10.
6 DNFs. Or is it 7?
No, 7.
Yeah, no, it's definitely 6 DNFs, because there's 2 Christoph Lichtensteins.
We've got the duped Christoph Lichtenstein.
Yeah.
We've got Christoph Lichtenstein 1 and Christoph Lichtenstein 2.
Which one raced?
The one that finished in 19th after 11 laps.
Well, no, was it 1 or 2?
Oh, wow. That's one to be discussed way after the race.
Surely that's like, is that not culpable for like a drugs ban or something? Like cloning drivers?
There's been 2 Christoph Lichtensteins. One of them must be banned. One of them. One of them.
Well, actually, we should stop joking around, actually, because I've just looked at the gap between Canapino and Suzuka, and my
I've
word,
just seen that, yeah, wow.
It is slashed down to 0.5 of a second. Canapino on a real charge here. And Suzuka must be worried about what's about to head his way, because we're looking at the prime tyres are going about 13, 14 laps. So let's say 14 laps generously. We're looking at lap 20 for pitting, really, then.
Yeah.
And these guys have another 2 more to go. Sukas's tyres clearly
Well,
suffering a bit now.
Well, I mean, this is what I've just asked myself: is it Sukas going slowly, or is it Canapino going quickly? And it's actually a mix of both. Canapino's going pretty damn fast at the moment. He's the last lap he did was his fastest lap. It was about 3/10 faster than the lap he did previous, which was 3/10 faster than the lap he did previous to that. So Canapino's on a bit of a charge, whereas Sukas has dropped about 6/10 off. He's actually been slowing about 3/10 over that period per lap. So it's a mix of one going faster and one going slower, which has caused it to close so quickly. And heading down to the Casio Triangle, you'd expect front wing to rear wing.
Here comes Canapino then. On the inside of Sukas, is he going to make a dive? No, he's not. He's going to drop back in there. But he's going to have the slipstream heading down into turn 1. And I imagine we're going to see these guys on the soft tyres for their second stint. The second part of their race. Making a stop sooner or later, heading into turn 2. No, Canapino still not able to do much. Although he is 3/10 behind you, he was only able to gain 2/10 that lap.
Oh, I've also seen that Mike Bell's pitted.
Oh right, okay.
He's on the yellow wall tyres in 12th position. So that's not
12th. That's worked out very nicely for him, hasn't it? Actually,
that's not bad.
We were saying about 13th, 14th. He's
above that now.
And presumably he can make it until the end of the race as well.
Yeah, we'll just have to see if his tyres will fall. I think he was trying to push it so far so he didn't have to worry too much about it. But I'm going to assume you're owing about Augustin Canapino.
Actually, I was musing about whether a top 10 is possible for Mike Bell at this rate then.
Yeah, wow. Considering the gaps of the people in front, maybe indeed. I mean, from a pit stop, he's going to jump in front of, I think it's Mikko Räikkönen he'll jump in front of, so that'll put him right in the back of the top 10s, and then depending on pace of everyone else, or pit stop strategies for anyone else, then, it could be a top 10. Just have to keep an eye on him, yeah.
Yeah, back to the front though. Keep an eye on Mikko Sukas. Decent job of holding off Canapino.
Excellent job.
Doing very, very well. And he's going to... I would have thought he'd gone ultra defensive here into the Casio Triangle as Canapino. Nice move from the Argentine. Slots himself ahead there. And Mikko Sukas does not pit. This is what we thought. At least lap 20 we're looking to, which is this lap now.
Yep, end of this lap.
End of this lap we're expecting him to pit. So... Mikko Sukas, I mean, look at that. He's already fallen 5/10 behind because of Canapino's move. But there we go. Canapino leads this race now for the second consecutive race.
Bye-bye, Augustin.
The question is, can he win it, though? Because he made that mistake near the end of the Abu Dhabi race. So he's certainly not flawless as a driver.
Yeah, but do you know what? Do you know who I think's benefiting most from this?
What?
Oscar Hardwick.
Oscar Hardwick.
Purely for the fact of now, well, you know how previous we were like, oh, Giuseppe's going to win. So that's, 5 points over second place. Okay, so now he's third.
Oh!
It's only about 2 or 3 points over fourth. So, it's pretty good for Oscar.
That's Janne Vanninen in the wall I saw.
Okay, so we've had another dump.
That's not a dump,
It's not
actually.
a dump. He's still going.
He's got a puncture, and he's going to be overtaken, I presume, by Dan Rusu at the end of this lap, but he's still going. Is Vanninen, another Finn to add to our field.
I had a puncture around this track. I mean, it was in a considerably slower car than this, and it took me, I think it took me about 5 or 10 minutes to get round to the pit lane in qualifying. Okay. And it's very uncomfortable driving on a puncture around this track. You just don't have any confidence in the rear of the car when you just all you're doing is you just try and turn into a corner at like 20 miles an hour, and it's like no, it's all right, we're going to spin. Right,
Mikko Sukas pits, but Canapino does not pit.
Okay, well, I'm going to assume Sukas is going to go onto the yellow wall tyres, and if he doesn't, well, what the deuce? And he does indeed. Obviously, Giuseppe Ranieri stays out on his yellow wall tyres already.
As does Hardwick.
Oscar Hardwick flies past.
Kenny Libert in.
Sorry. I'm going to assume Kenny Libert is going to go onto the options, onto the primes as well.
Ben de Vries through. Where is Sukas? So Sukas comes out
fourth
ahead of Sven de Vries. So only just, it must be said. And Sven de Vries is going to have those warmer tyres as well. So we'll have to see how that one works itself out. Tumala's in. Parker goes through onto Marla. And Lee Bear comes out just ahead of Parker. Klont goes through again to take P8. And Mikko Yakkinen is miles behind. I don't think he's going to be able to. No, so Yakkinen's going to be there in P10. Jumala comes out into P9. And that's our first bit of pit stop sorted. But one must wonder where Canapino is going to slot in. And also, we've got to look at that crucial gap between Ranieri and Canapino. Remember, Canapino's got to use yellow wall tyres now. Ranieri
he's going to jump into the pits at the end of this lap.
Yeah, Ranieri's going to be on the reds, though.
Yeah, but that's a 5.5 second gap, and I mean we saw this out in Abu Dhabi how much pace Augustin Canapino has when he really puts his mind to it. Even with a slightly damaged car, and I think back then he was even on the yellow wall tyres, and he was still a little bit faster than Giuseppe. So Canapino is one of these drivers who have his pace, and I am correct. He jumps straight into the pits, obviously going to go straight into his yellow wall tyres, and that means that Giuseppe Ranieri is going to take the lead
for the first time in this race.
Wow, yeah, that's not something that we'd usually hear. Is Giuseppe Ranieri takes the lead for the first time this race. It's only been 21 laps. 21 laps this season that he hasn't led. Poor.
That's incredible, isn't it? Oscar Hardwick goes through as well. So Oscar Hardwick's going to go into P2. And look at Sven de Vries. Sven de Vries has got past Mikko Sukas.
Wow, but Sukas is going to come through.
We can only imagine he's going to dive for the inside of turn 1. What can the Finn do on the American?
Yeah.
Nothing doing. And Sukas is being held up here. And those...
That is such a shame.
For those glimmers of hope for a potential victory here for the Finn. They're starting to fall away.
Oh, well, at least we don't have like silly rules like they do in DTM, where, fun fact, if you're on the same lap as someone but you're on a different strategy, you'll get blue flagged.
Really?
They do.
Watched DTM and I didn't know that.
I found that out in Zandvoort. That is what happens, is that you get blue flagged if you're on a completely different strategy so that you don't mess up their strategy. What a stupid idea.
Quick plug, you probably should watch DTM. It's free on YouTube. Great racing.
Plug.
I've seen it live at Brands Hatch as well. Lovely racing series. You should watch that. Back to the action here, though. Mikko Sukas still not able to get past Sven de Vries. Is he on? I can't see. Is he on the option or the primes?
Who's De Vries?
De Vries, yeah.
He's on the red walled options.
Right.
And I'm going to assume he's going to pit this lap.
He's made those red wall tyres last a long time.
Well, let me have a quick look. He pitted lap 12, so it's not...
Almost 10 laps.
He made them last quite long the first time. But here comes Sukas. Bye.
Yeah, big. Through Sukas goes on the better tyres, now up to speed through 130R. Back up into P4, but how much time did he lose behind the American?
A lot.
I would think quite a lot, yeah. Ranieri is still going around, though, on lap 23 and 34, though. Oscar Hardwick is through, Canapino through, Mikko Sukas through, and as Ronnie says, Sven de Vries into the pits there.
I'm going to also assume that Oscar and Giuseppe will pit in about 2 laps' time.
Right. Well, yeah, we were expecting 12.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 2 laps. Maybe
Unless
1
they're
lap
gonna,
even.
unless if they pit at the end of this lap, then I'll guarantee they'll go on 2 primes. But I can see them going a couple of laps further and then dropping it onto the options. Also, Mike Bell up into the top 10.
Yeah, that's what we thought, wasn't he? He's just gone ahead of John McLean, who is yet to make his second stop. Though, actually, let's look at this now. John McLean has a chance to get through at 130R here. He's going to try the outside route. He's going to try and Bruno center it around the edge of Mike Bell. Oh, it's very tight. There's contact. And oh, no, Mike Bell. He's
keep hold of it.
Oh, well
did he touch the
held.
wall?
He did not touch the wall.
Excellent.
Wow,
that was scary. Jesus.
That was.
See, now I don't think McLean should have fought that hard for that move.
No, especially given that he's pitting.
He's pitted. That was really silly, I think. Now, I mean, I'm probably a little bit biased on this because I know Mike quite well, but that was a little bit silly. I understand that every piece of track position is so important, but bloody hell.
Well, John McLean has really... It's unfortunate, I know, but he's sort of solidified his position in this league along with David Nichols, who I think has fully left the series now, as Mr. Inconsistency, unfortunately. Yeah. And from that move alone, you can kind of see why. And now Mike Bell is under serious pressure from Mark Wicks as we as we go into the... what's this pit section called? The Dege or whatever?
Degner.
The Degner.
The Degners. Jeez, you should pull up a track map. I had to do this midway through an FSR event. It's just like, I don't really know this. I know how to drive this track. I don't know any of the corners though. No. But I know that Mike Bell knows how to defend. But is he going to be able to against Mark Wicks? I know Mark Wicks is one of the people that he aims to defeat. So we'll just have to see how this one's going to play out.
Mark Wicks is going to try up the inside of Spoon. Pulls out.
By the way, this is options on primes. Mike Bell on primes and Mark Wicks on options.
Remember, Mark Wicks has to pit again. Oh my word! I just saw Oscar Hardwick just getting past John McClane. They went onto the track, off track, I should say. Even I shouldn't really degrade off the issue here. Let's look at Mark Wicks, who's on Mike Bell. Mike Bell defending well, as you say. And Mark Wicks, I'd imagine, would be pitting sooner or later, surely.
Yeah.
And there we go. Mark Wicks does pit. Decides discretion is the better part of valor.
Yeah, that's what John McClane should have done, because I noticed that he lifted ever so slightly going down the straight to 130R to make sure that he was behind. So that's what John McClane should have done. It's now interesting to see actually where Mike Bell and John McClane are going to appear out in remarks to each other. Mark Wicks even and John McClane, where they're going to appear out to each other.
Rainieri pits, Hardwick does not pit.
Well, obviously, Rainieri onto the options. I think what Oscar's doing is he's pushing this stint as far as he can go to get decent pace out of it, because I don't think he's trying to fight Rainieri. But
crucially, we've got this battle for the lead as well. Look how far ahead Canapino is to Rainieri now.
Here comes Sukas. Is he going to get? He's going to close up. But...
Yeah, but not there, and that really shows just how far behind he has fallen from leading these two to behind.
He's not too far behind Rainieri though.
Yeah,
but
he's
then
on
you've got
harder tyres.
Yeah, that is the other thing you got to think of is primes v options. So I think you'll see Giuseppe running away with this at the moment. But still, will this be his fourth podium for Sukas? So that's incredibly impressive, especially when you're in such a hard league at the moment where you've got a decent championship battle going along, and three very, very quick people to fight against. So I think Sukas is showing that he is a definite Supercup star of the future.
This has definitely been his best weekend to date, hasn't it? We know that he's down there in P4, which is where he usually is on a regular basis now, but he led for the majority of this race. And you can't really take that away from him, and he wasn't losing time necessarily until that last lap with Canapino, where he lost the lead.
He's definitely got pace. He's absolutely got the pace to win. Maybe not with Rainieri and Canapino, who are two of the fastest people that I've ever seen drive. So, but he's definitely got the pace to do it. As Oscar Hardwick comes up to lap Mark Wicks, I'm going to assume dives straight into the pit lane. He's gone for the wide line to bring it in.
Yep.
And dives straight in, which means he's going to lose the lead to Augustin Canapino. And I reckon he's actually going to drop beyond Suzuka.
I wonder how close he is going to be to Libera as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we got to look at, is where he is to Kenny. I think he'll get out in front because of the gap between the two of them. Lead-wise, so...
he's out already? That was a quick stop.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have to fill up very much, does he? Kenny's on the yellow wall tyres as well.
Oh, he's going to be miles ahead of Kenny, isn't
he?
Yeah. So Oscar Hardwick filters back into fourth, and if the race ends now, then Rainieri will extend his championship lead by 7 points. So going into Brazil, that will mean that the lead of the championship is therefore 9 points.
Yeah, Oscar Hardwick's come out behind some traffic that he needs to get past lapped-wise, which is Brandon Warren, which does get out of his way before they head into the Degners. The Degners probably the most difficult part of this circuit. Also, Suzuka has binned it.
Oh no! What happened there?
He binned it on the wall of the second Degner.
Oh, we saw Roy Schroten have an off there. And in fact, Oscar Hardwick as well had an off there.
Also, okay, that was interesting.
Oh, cruel
my
luck.
RFE quite clearly glitched because he had yellow wall tyres on the back, red wall tyres on the front. I don't think you can do that. But yes, that is such a shame for Suzuka, especially considering that he was leading a lot of this race earlier on. He just... that's a shame.
Cruel,
huge shame.
Cruel luck.
Yeah.
Amico Suzuka records his first retirement in Supercup, and at one of the worst times as well. What this means, though, is that Oscar Hardwick has been blessed with more points to his name, now P3. To Giuseppe Rainieri's P2. That's only 4 points that Rainieri's going to gain on Hardwick, and that means that rather than
6.
9 points, it's going to be 6. And we know that sounds silly, but if these two finish in the lower part of the points in Interlagos, 1 point can mean the difference between winning it and losing it.
Now, Interlagos being Interlagos, the weather's not trustworthy at all, even slightly, not even 1%.
Even at this early part, we're expecting rains. Oh my word, who was that going off into the distance? I saw, what was that? There was someone who went flying off at turn 1, and I'm not sure. Oh, and there goes Yanni Vanderden as well! My word, that wasn't Yanni Vanderden there, but who on earth went off into the wall? God, I don't know who that was, but look at Yanni Vanderden's accident. That was huge. My gosh. And so that means that we are now down to 15 runners and riders.
That's a really, really odd accident from Yanni Vanderden. I don't know if he really...
Almost like his brakes didn't work.
Or he didn't care. You know when you have like a driver who just really doesn't want to take part in the race, they'll just plow it into a wall? That is what that looked like.
Oh, it's even more cruel luck for Suzuka, isn't it? Because had that happened...
We do have 15 runners.
Yeah, I know, but Suzuka would be runner 16.
Yeah, no, of course, he'll still count as a runner, but we've got 15 runners, so when he finishes the race now.
To be fair, he hasn't actually made it.
Oh, it's Koivunen.
It was Koivunen, right. What? I thought Koivunen retired.
Yeah, no, sorry, no, he's just left the server. I was like,
right.
oh, okay, then what's... This is really confusing.
This is really confusing, yeah, my word. Tom Parker up to 5th. But was it Sven de Vries who went off then, maybe? It must have been. It looks like a satellite car.
I'll check out his gap as he crosses the line. He's going to cross the line now. He only lost a second on that lap.
Maybe he did a Perez and just went wide, but not stupidly wide.
And not, maybe. Maybe indeed. But, yeah, no, we were discussing points and stuff for the championship.
Yes.
Also, I just want to point out one very important thing, is that Giuseppe Ranieri to Augustin Canapino is 2.8 seconds. I don't know if that's been closing or anything, but I'll keep an eye on that.
I think that has been closing.
I think that has been closing as well, because I think it was about 5 seconds, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But no, 6 points in Interlagos. 6 points, trust me, is absolutely nothing, especially when the weather is changeable. Unless Ranieri has one of those leads like he had back in the USA, I'm going to say it's going to be something like that. We're going to have a race that weather is a huge factor, and predicting that is going to give people huge amounts of points. And so if Oscar plays his cards correctly, he's absolutely still on the table for this championship. Just because Giuseppe Ranieri's been running away with it, he's still in this. And also, I'm assuming you wanted to point this out, because the gap between the leads is now 2.3 seconds. It dropped half a second in that middle sector.
I reckon it's 2 seconds now. 2.2.
2.2. It is closing. It's that middle sector.
5 laps to go here at
Is it
Suzuka.
Is it 5 or 6? 6.
5. We're on lap 29 of 34.
Sorry, that's my bad.
Oh, dear me. Oh, I've had something through on TeamSpeak. That's rare. It must be important.
6 laps.
6 laps, you sure? We'll see.
29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34.
31, 32, 33.
It's alright, this is the
wow!
That was a moment. And that was a cut.
That was a cut, yes.
that was quite the cut. Now, Giuseppe did have a penalty for this last time out, obviously for cutting a percentage of laps.
He lost his win because of it.
He lost his win because of it. That was quite a spectacular cut. That was... I don't care. I've gone sideways now. I'm just going to fly across this track now. Bye. But that was quite well held, though, to actually make sure that the car was pointing somewhat forwards.
See, this is classic Supercup broadcast. While Quick Maths James fails,
Quick Maths James is 6 laps.
There's interesting action going on, yeah. And Ranieri there. Well, I think that's a lifeline to Canapino, because at the end of this lap, when he does have 5 laps, I mean, the gap's 3 seconds now.
He's going to have to be changing his undercrackers after that, because that was a moment and a half.
Can you imagine if he'd retired? Can you imagine? And he's got traffic in the Street Fighters. Look at this. Oh, it goes from bad to worse from Ranieri.
If he'd have retired, what would have gone through Oscar's mind?
Finish the race.
Just cross that line. Doesn't matter where you are.
Well, it does clearly, because that would be wow. And you just see how close the threads that tie Supercup together are. One wrong move, and
I also
it can go horribly
saw that
wrong.
Mikael Chimala's been off the track at 130R, and Tom Parker's gone through into 6th position.
So that means that Tom Parker's fallen behind Sven de Vries again.
Yep, last people on the lead lap now, as Mark Wicks and Mika Häkkinen got lapped, is Mike Bell down in 9th position. So to say that we were going, oh, he's going to be 12th, 13th or 14th, and we both agreed on this. Because even I didn't think he could have done that. He's kept it on track and has got himself into 9th position. If he holds that together, that's going to be a really good finish again.
Where's Mark Wicks? Mark Wicks is
quite a long way back.
Quite a long way down the road, yeah, actually. 2 spoons, I'd say.
Two spoons?
2 spoons,
Two spoons. Is that we're just going to measure like tracks now and how big spoon is?
Well, we can't measure tracks in Anthony Davidson's.
Well, at least, we could always pull out facts as to like how long it would take you to Gangnam Style around it. God, good lord, Formula One.
That
good
would
lord.
take a long time to Gangnam
no.
Style. Whoa! Hold your horses. Rainieri 7/10 behind.
Yeah,
How did that happen?
Okay, Augustin Canapino's either fallen off or he's made a mistake. He went off at spoon. There you go. He's made a mistake. He dropped a huge amount of time on that lap and the lap before it. I think Canapino may be pushing a little bit too hard. And I don't know really if Giuseppe is now, because after that brown your trousers down at the Degners.
Yes. Well. It's something, isn't it? Although the gap has now reopened to 1 second. So Canapino getting a wiggle on lap 31 here at 34. Almost near the end now. Oscar Hardwick still 10 seconds behind.
Oh, Canapino's gone deep. Whoa. He went straight over the... his left wheels were over the...
I can't take my eyes off these guys, can I? I've got to keep an eye on them, otherwise something's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, like Canapino's gone deep again.
Oh dear.
At 10-11.
But
now,
this
is not what Oscar Hardwick wants.
No.
Oscar Hardwick wants Canapino to run away with this and run away very, very far.
Yeah, but he was always at a disadvantage when he was on prime tyres.
Yeah.
There's another battle we need to watch out for as well, actually, which is closing up. Haley Bear and Sven de Vries. And the Belgian, who's found himself amazingly up in P4, has now got to watch his rearview mirror, because Satellite Racing Man is slowly but surely catching him up. And although I don't think much is going to happen in the next couple of laps, I think last lap we might see these two dogging it out for that final place after the podium.
Yeah. Well, Canapino did gap it a little bit there. He's, if he keeps it on track, he's fine. But he's coming up to the back of his teammate. That's something that I just wanted to point out about the targets, is that I really like how they've got the drivers of Augustin Canapino and Mike Bell, and yet on the side of the car it says Sindre Grimseth and Wyatt Gooden. Just thought I'd point that one out. He gets past his teammate, as does Giuseppe.
You would have thought the Mike would have possibly done a bit of tactical...
Whoa. Yeah, I know, but could you imagine how bad that would look?
Yeah.
Oh. That would not look good even slightly if that would have happened, so Mike did the right thing there to get out of the way.
Just say Mark Wicks is really catching up onto the back of Mike Bell, though.
Oh, he is indeed. Wow.
That's a really... I'd say... If we're going to continue our measurements, I'm going to say he's taken 1 spoon out of him.
Well, I'd say a good couple, mate.
Maybe 1.5 spoon.
Yep, maybe a half spoon. But no, he's closed up hugely, especially considering that we were talking of a good 2 spoons between them. We're now looking at them, going, there's not even a spoonful, really. It's just
they are in spoon together now.
They're in spoon together. They're filling spoon. That is a spoonful there.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
okay, we've got to stop this now. Stop this.
Here we go. Mark Wicks on Mike Bell.
Right, going through 130R. These two battled earlier in the race, and Mike Bell just holding off the established veteran English driver. Second twice before in Super League, has found this calling here in Super Cup this season with the Street Fighter team. And I imagine that P9 is going to be Wixie's very, very shortly. As we head onto the start straight here into turn 9. Mark Wicks goes onto the inside, but Mike Bell just about has the straight line speed to keep him off.
Now, as I've said, I've driven a lot with Mike Bell, and he knows how to defend. You know, I mean, looking at Abu Dhabi in the Formula Challenge, there was an 8-car train all behind him because he was just doing the right thing of leaving it in the right place.
Of the road, isn't he?
At the right place at the right time. He was on the apex. He knows how to defend, and it's that which is making him. But here comes Wicks. Bloody hell, that was a drive off of that corner by Wicks. Jesus.
Wow. Pardon the French from either of us, but that was amazing.
That was one hell of a drive of that corner.
That's traction.
That is the difference between fresher rubber and not fresher rubber.
Wow.
That was huge.
P9
now,
to Mark Wicks.
That's the difference about defending a Formula Challenge when everyone's on the same tyres as you.
Wow. Where's
Yakkinen?
Huge. Where is Yakkinen? Is he reasonably close? Well, actually, mind you, I think Yakkinen's less of a problem because he's got John McClane to look out for.
I'd also say that they're probably about 2 spoonfuls apart.
Yeah, oh my word, yeah, McClane having to pull out of it there.
Yeah.
But I've just noticed, actually, we are on lap 33 of 34. We're near the end.
Oh, yeah.
And Canapino has done a very credible job, actually.
Yeah.
He's been able to hold the gap at about 1 second now as Ranieri's tyres fall off. And on this final lap now comes Canapino.
It's within a second.
It's within a second.
Wow.
So... Well,
5,000th.
Let's put it this way. One mistake, and it could be all over for either of them.
Which makes you wonder: is Giuseppe going to accept second place? Is he going to push too much and dump it in the wall? I know what Osp is thinking: dump it in the wall, dump it in the wall, dump it in the wall, dump it in the wall. But I think Giuseppe's just got to sit back, breathe, relax, and not.
Oh my God! Look at Mike Bell! Look at Mike Bell! Oh, his tyres have gone.
Yeah.
His tyres have gone. He's under prep from both Mikko Yakkinen and John McClane now. The Bell train forms once again.
Is he really going to put all Mikko Yakkinen's going to
wide? Yakkinen! And through goes John McClane, and we know the pass between these two in this race already. John McClane. Oh, there goes Yakkinen! Oh, round and round he goes. Like the Ferris wheel here at Suzuka itself, and he's...
Oh, John McClane's been off as well.
John McClane's been there! Oh, no!
Wow, that's a huge breather for Mike. Jeez.
Mike Bell has been saved by the Bell twice.
That could not have worked out any better for Mike Bell and his defensive driving.
Wow!
Didn't even have to do anything. But anyway, heading up to 130R is Augustin Canapino for his second win.
What a finish to this race. It's been fantastic from start to finish. And we always had hope this championship would finally bring something back. And Augustin Canapino then, for the second time in a row, wins here in the 2013 season. A faultless drive from the Argentine brings him home ahead of Italy's Giuseppe Ranieri, who will extend his championship lead by 4 points here this evening, making it 6 points of difference heading into Interlagos. Oscar Hardy comes home, and oh, look at the battle between Kenny Bear and Sven de Vries. I told you this would be going to the line, and they're side by side going down the final section here. Kenny Libert just about leading on Sven de Vries.
Second time Sven de Vries has been pretty close towards the line with someone.
Yeah, my word, that was close. Kenny Libert taking fourth by 1/10 from Sven de Vries, who must be agonising over that.
Tom Parker, sixth.
Alternate strategy does him very well. P6 indeed. Yeah. Mikel Tumala recording Centurion's best finish of the season. P7 for the Finn. Menno Klont, rather quiet race actually for the Dutchman this time around.
Yeah.
Comes home P8. Ahead of Mark Wicks, who's P9, and Mike Bell.
Yeah, Mike Bell
twice really. P10.
I don't know what he was thinking when looking in that rear view mirror. It's just kind of like seeing two cars that were considerably faster than him at this period of time because he's gone too far on these tyres just spin out behind him. It's just kind of like, how much of a lifeline was that?
Mikko Yakkinen.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, Mikko Yakkinen scores his first Supercup points in 11th, with John McClane coming home 12th, even with a broken front wing. Brandon Warren comes home 13th. Patrick Gatewood 14th, his first points in quite a long time, actually, considering his retirement rate. And Dan Rusu, first time back in the car, wasn't looking too confident, but he still scores a point, and Vodball's only point this race. A real fall from grace for that team, unfortunately, but they
Yeah,
still
they're
got
not
something out of
stealing
it.
they're not stealing Dawei Tappers and Oscari Cantonans now.
No.
He's a good driver, though, Stan Risi. So I won't. I'm not like pushing that. I'm sorry.
But wow, that was a race.
Yeah.
That was
Also,
a race.
Tom Park apparently was fuel saving towards the end of that.
Yeah. So P6 still a very good result for the Univision driver. What a shame for Sukas, though. I mean, drama all throughout that, wasn't it? I would say that was the best race I've seen all season, actually.
I'd agree. At least we had something interesting to talk about with the battle for the lead and battles throughout. So, a bit more interesting than usual, I would say.
A bit more interesting than usual, and certainly interesting for Oscar Hardwick, who we have here to interview now. A solid P3. You only lose another 4 points to Ranieri, so the gap going into the final is 6 points. And myself and Lewis have already discussed this. Nothing really, so much can happen at Interlagos that even 10 points can be gobbled up in the space of one lap. Are you happy with your job here today at Suzuka?
I think it's about the best I could have hoped for. It was very obvious that, Mikko had put in much more time than usual because he was absolutely flying compared to his normal pace. And, Augustin and Giuseppe still had more practice than me and a better out-and-out pace throughout. But, I put it in the right position at the start. I led a few laps again, and the difference between this and Abu Dhabi is I didn't spin. So I left myself in a strong position to pick up pieces all the way through. And yeah, thinking back, the last time I was really this close on pace was probably, again, that Monza Silverstone time. So it's looking positive. I'm just hoping that Giuseppe's due a crash or something so that I can get my way in the final round.
Well, we are actually. There was a debatable moment earlier when Giuseppe tried to make the move past you into the famous chicane where, of course, Prost and Senna came together. A bit of a dive bomb, really. I mean, what were your views on that? Do you think that was just a racing incident more than anything?
I think that today you saw me get out of the way of Augustin, obviously through the S's because he had more pace than me, and I wanted to let him fight with Giuseppe. I was playing a strategic game because I didn't have the pace, and Giuseppe didn't drive like someone who's fighting for a championship. He drove a bit more aggressively today, and it's sort of what we saw back towards the Spain area where he was aggressive and inconsistent, on the verge of making mistakes, and he didn't make contact with me in his dive bombing, but I heard that he was making multiple contacts with Augustin and not being the cleanest of drivers on the track. So, yeah, it sounds mean, but it's really nice to see him a bit wrestled by, new talent coming in, and myself and Mikko as well throughout, and makes me feel as though that there's something to fight for going into the final round.
That's the question. The final round. How well do you go round Interlagos? Do you think that you, by the end of it all, will have the pace to be able to take the challenge to Giuseppe throughout this all?
It'll be interesting to see. I imagine for me it's going to rely on reading adverse weather patterns and stuff like that. I need a bit of luck going into the final round because setup-wise and driver-wise at the moment, particularly with the practice hours that I've not put into the last couple of races, it's not mine to be sort of fighting with at the moment, so I need to be banking on a bit more luck to push myself forward.
Right then, well, we do wish you the best of luck. It promises to be an excellent finale, and we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Thank you very much.
We now move on to Mike Bell. What an interesting race you had. The defining moment really was the contact with John McClane around 1:30R, and then near the end of the race, having Mikko Häkkinen and John again behind you and both of them bidding it, you must feel like the luckiest man alive.
If I was the luckiest man alive, I wouldn't have done a couple of stupid things this event, and I would have probably got a bit of a better result, but oh well. I'm alright. So that was my last race in the Supercup this season, and I'm alright finishing it out with the top 10.
You in talks with any teams for next year?
Next season, next season I have a provisional Supercup drive, depending if the team that I've agreed to drive with get in.
Okay, well, I think it's a shame that we actually lose you from Supercup then, unfortunately.
That's like for one round.
Yeah, but you know, we like your alternate strategies, and especially at Interlagos where there's plenty going on. I think that'd be much needed. But hopefully you'll enjoy the race on the sidelines, and I guess we'll see what happens in the weeks to come regarding driver contracts.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mike. We'll move on now to Mikael Tumala, recording Centurion's best finish of the year. You must be ecstatic with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Great race. Great race. That's all I can say. Extremely happy with the seventh place.
I believe that actually draws you right up in contention with PPD, Fox, and PB. You've been rock bottom of the table
yeah.
for the entire season. Do you think you can change that in Interlagos?
Yeah, well, that was the main goal when I joined the Centurion for only course. So we're nice on pace to do it. So I feel we can do it. Maybe take even place 11. I don't know. I have to see the standings now after the race. It's really a big shame that Tommy crashed out of the race in the first. Well, he didn't even make it to the first corner. So a really big shame. But I think we can still climb a position or two in the standings.
Right, well, it's certainly one to watch out for the battle for the bottom as well as the top. Thank you for joining us, Mikael, and we wish you the best of luck for 2 weeks' time.
Alright, thanks a lot.
And finally, we are going to end up with John McLean, who was in that aforementioned contact with Mike Bell, and indeed the unfortunate spin near the end of the race. But positives to be taken. First consecutive points scored. It's a bit of a revelation.
I'm still not sure what's actually happened. I think I managed to go around the circuit enough times, so...
Well, yeah. Especially around Suzuka as well. I mean, it's not really one of the tracks which you'd expect consistency. I mean, we saw a lot of the front guys making mistakes, and there were mistakes throughout the field, but it's one of the trickiest circuits, really, to master is Suzuka.
A bit of a story behind that for me is I didn't get any practice up until last night. I unfortunately had a motorcycle accident last Wednesday, and my hand is in a splint right now. Basically, yeah, I'm just surprised to have done consistently as well as relatively quickly, and catching Mike both stints where he was on the alternative strategy. I was quite impressed and just a bit gutted to say that I didn't manage to pass him, because I was pretty certain I could have done it on the last lap had I not binned it.
That is hugely inspirational, so that is amazing how you've been able to do that. So, are you at least able to make next round at Interlagos at least?
Yes. If I can do this, I can do that. That's my attitude. I don't know what the doctor's going to say about it, but, I mean, a few medications and, yeah, it should be fine.
Because, of course, you, with Fox Racing as well, you are in that scrap at the bottom, and a few points could mean the difference between what is it now, the difference between finishing 13, 12, 11, 9th, and finishing bottom last. Do you think you might be able to stretch for that 10 next time out in Interlagos?
I've always kind of set myself the target of beating Fox's best result this season, and I'm just a bit, as I said, a bit frustrated that I've managed to do this to myself, and I don't think I'll be able to achieve that. But a top 10, I think that is a realistic target for me. If I can have a race where I don't make a mistake, I reckon I could get there. Right,
well, from all of us here, we wish you the best of luck and also best wishes with your recovery as well. It's awful to see when people are injured and stuff like that, but clearly you're showing that you can be fast even with an injury on your side, so best of luck for the next race. And I guess really that leaves us, Lewis, with a lot of anticipation for 2 weeks' time. It's unbelievable to think that we're already at the finale of the season, and in a season where we've seen basically a number of dominators come in. You know, we had James Shepherd at the start, we had Oscar Hardwick with all those pole positions, then we had Giuseppe Ranieri on his run, now we've got Augustin Canapino showing what he can do. Throughout the field, there's a sense of anticipation and also not really knowing how this is going to end up, especially if Brazil is, as we're expecting, going to be all rainy.
Well, I mean, to be honest, anytime we go to Interlagos, it's expected to be rainy, even if the forecast is dry. But Interlagos is one of those circuits that most drivers love. I know plenty of people who really detest the place, but for a lot of the drivers, it's the last round of the season, and in a season like this, they're all going to be determined to be on top form. I know quite a lot of drivers that are going to be aiming to be on top form. It's not just kind of like, oh, this is just another round, I'm just going to hop in and wing it. You're always going to have the people wanting good results to show this is what I can do and this is where I want to be. So it's going to be an interesting race. You're going to have a lot of drivers on top form. Whether one of those will be Oscar is something we're going to have to patiently wait for. But I think strategy will play a key part in that due to the weather, dependent on what the weather looks like. So we've hopefully got very good Interlagos coming up, and hopefully one of those classic tyre fights, which is something that we didn't think we were going to get a few rounds ago.
The 23rd of October is the date to pencil in. It's not the only date to pencil in, of course. We still have the Super League coming tomorrow, and on the week of the Supercup finale, we shall also have the finale of the Formula Challenge and Super League seasons. It's a lot to look forward to. We've got World GT, the finale of that, next Thursday. So, racing action coming to a close, but plenty to still look forward to. So, just gives me time to thank our cameraman for this evening, Dave Carr-Smith, once again, to thank Lewis McGlade for taking his time to be my co-commentator. I've been James Kirk. Make sure you're with us in 2 weeks. From all of us here, it's a very warm goodbye.